Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Hello, it's Friday night. It's 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. You know what your place is supposed to be, the Unfiltered Experience with myself, Christopher Rausch, and
Scott David Goyette.
Oh, Scott David Goyette. Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, let's cut. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Unfiltered Experience. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. It's 5 p.m. And I am Christopher Blake Rausch. And this is
Scott David Goyette, and my confirmation name was Luke.
All right.
What do you got now?
Okay. So cut. Okay. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Unfiltered Experience. It's 5 o'clock somewhere, Pacific Standard Time. I am Christopher Blake Rausch, known as the No Excuses Coach that won't take any shit from anybody. And this is
Scott David Goyette, confirmation name Luke, and they call me the love guy.
the Go Love Now guy.
There you go.
You got to go love now. You either go love now or you go hate now. I mean, you've illustrated that point so eloquently to me, Scott, and I have to give you big props and credit because I actually use that a lot now in talking to people about being able to see through the lens of love or the lens of fear. And God knows I haven't even caught you up on. Yeah, that's right. I haven't even told you what happened. Woo!
I'm looking forward to it. I'm just looking forward. We'll do it after the show, man.
I've
got so many things.
I've literally been going 1,000 miles an hour this week, and I'm like, fuck, usually we talk like every day, and it's been like, I'm like, fuck, brother, check in. You good? Okay, you're good. Okay, we're good. And just keep rocking and rolling.
There's, and to that point, what I'd love to do right now, and something that, a lot of times we're always kind of joking around, and we get serious here and there because we got some serious topics, but there is so much going on in the world right now. And I'm a big believer in the collective energy that we are, of course, all connected, and we're all one body of love, ultimately. There's a lot of people suffering right now. I've been getting a lot of, I don't want to say interesting, just a lot of contacts this week of either pray for somebody or meditate for somebody, or do you know somebody who can help me in this situation? And I've gotten a lot of that. So without giving specific names, I'd love to just give a moment of silence for the people who are watching, the people who are connected, the people who are listening to this later, whoever it is in your life that needs a moment, needs some energy, needs some love. Let's just send that out there to them right now, just real quick. Cool. I know the world needs it. I know the world needs it.
That's a great idea, Scott. I mean, there definitely is a lot going on in the world. And you know me, I tuck my head under a pillow and don't look at the news, but I heard a little bit of it today and I was like, all right. Cool. Well, I heard a lot of it. What's today? Friday? Yesterday? Was it yesterday? Yesterday. I don't know. I swear to God, this week, dude, has just been a fucking blur.
It's been.
No, it was Wednesday because I recovered from my conversation on Wednesday yesterday.
Dude, I'm with you. And without getting into too many details, because we got some positive stuff and some good things to talk about. There's people who have lost limbs. There's people who are, involved in hit and run accidents. There's people, there's just some crazy stuff. And I see a lot of lack of accountability. I don't know what messages the universe is trying to send. I don't know what karmic feedback has made some of these things occur. I don't know the details. I'm just seeing end results and seeing people suffering. And whatever's brought that from there to here, I would bet, just based on the way I'm seeing and connecting with the universe, that massive change comes with a massive amount of chaos and friction. And so we're in that space right now. And so it might be something happening to your physical body. It might be something happened to a loved one. It might be something that we've lost. And before we can gain and create space to have all these beautiful new things in this beautiful new world, there's going to be some shifts that might seem horrific. And I feel like we're seeing them. And in a way, I've been saying, please stop, please stop, please stop, please stop. And I just said today, I go, I don't know if it's going to stop, but the one thing I can do, which we say all the time, is manage how I respond. And that's what we're going to do. That's what, when I say we, I mean, me, anybody who's in my tribe, I'm going to keep preaching that. I know you do too. And I love the fact that the universe says, oh, you're going to talk shit, huh? Well, let's see if you can back it up. Because, I notice whenever I say anything, it comes more quickly than ever, the lesson. If I speak something like I'm an authority and I don't truly understand it, the universe will say, oh, we got a funny guy over here. We got a funny guy. We're going to teach you some lessons. So I accept the lessons because I know that you and I and our special guest tonight are all what I would call energizers, people who will put their necks out and do a lot for others. And we really see the greatness and the oneness in the world. So Let's just do our best, man. Let's just keep doing our best. Put some love and light out there. Would you like me to introduce our guest today, Chris?
Absolutely. Before I say anything else.
Well, because I know
I'm excited to talk to her. I mean, I had a few minutes to talk to her beforehand, and I remembered the connection with us all. I'm excited to dive into this conversation versus the rest of the conversation.
Yeah. And we can go in a million directions right now. So let's head into this. Yep. So this amazing woman who's going to be here tonight, she's actually very well connected to one of our former guests. She is a PR person, a marketing person, somebody who really understands the concept of making yourself a better human being and changing all the things that we're preaching. She's putting into practice. So we're going to be seeing that demonstrated here today. She is actually an amazing person who is deeply connected to Jimmy Dennis, who had served 25 years on death row and was on our show probably 2 months ago. Phenomenal human being. If you guys have not seen that show yet, two things can happen. One, you can go back and watch it, or we're actually going to replay it again next week because we think it's that important. And once you hear some stuff from our guest, you're probably going to want to watch it even more. But she's not here just to talk about Jimmy. She's here to talk about herself, and that's why we brought her on board. Without further ado, an amazing human being, Tracy Lamourie.
Tracy, welcome to the Unfiltered experience. How are you this evening?
I'm thrilled to be here. I'm thrilled to be here. And while I'm, happy to talk about myself, I have to say I'm always more than thrilled to talk about what is now an inspiring and happy story of Jimmy Dennis, because literally I've been talking about Jimmy Dennis. We'll talk about why since I was 28 years old, and since he was 28 years old. At that time, we were trying to save his life. And so it was less pleasant. And now I can say, check him out on all music streaming services. And so it's really pleasant just to be able to say that.
How beautiful is it to say the musician Jimmy Dennis, or the friend Jimmy Dennis, or the free man walking Jimmy Dennis, than the person who's been wrongfully convicted? I mean, I've only known him since then, and I'm all over his post, because one of the things I love to do is help that man shine. Because when Chris and I had him on the show and we were just listening to him and listening to his heart, and he shared some of his cell experience, which I know he doesn't do in public.
That show, actually, I literally cried. I literally cried. There was stuff that you guys brought out on him that I didn't even know for the 20 years, because he tried to shelter us after that. And I was messaging him saying, you know what, I would literally, why didn't you talk to us about that stuff when you were in prison? And we had conversations about it since. And he said, he was afraid of losing people on the team, or getting them distracted, or getting them, because we would have been heartbroken and terrified on a day-to-day basis of what he was going through, right? Instead, he wanted to keep us focused, not on worry about calling the prison about his circumstance today, but keep us focused on bringing him home, like his why, with his getting home and freeing his name and his family. So yeah, that was an amazing interview. Thanks so much, guys.
Yeah, no, we went on everyone back again and talk a different part of the story, because when we follow him and see his music and we see all the things he's doing, in the city of Philadelphia, and watching him I'm blanking on the guy's last name, but the district attorney current, whose name's Larry, I forget his last name, but
Larry Krasner.
Yeah, so I love watching Jimmy and his collective of friends who realize that this is a man who is changing the way that district looks. And as a district attorney, he's making sure that they're doing the right things and freeing people who are wrongfully convicted and making sure that never happens again. We need to get people like Larry so that we can model other metropolises, other cities, other areas, and make sure that these things, first of all, never happen again, and rectify them. So we need to get Larry on the show. And I already talked to Jimmy about doing this too, because I really want to see more people that that aren't being brought on shows. Like I don't think enough people realize that should be the person who's here to talk to us is Larry. What are you doing to clean up our criminal justice system?
And instead what's happening is he's getting attacked right now and reamed by the prior administration and or order of police or whatever it is, because they want to bring it back to the old, and actually they're suing people who are daring to say anything like that. So did you hear about that? Did you hear what happened to it? Yeah, there's Sean King, he had the cover of Newsweek 2 weeks ago. He frequently talks about these kind of issues. Now he's getting involved with this one. But he had the cover, he's a outspoken actor, a writer, a well-respected journalist, the cover of Newsweek, right? We're not talking. So he was speaking out about what's going on in the race, along with Larry Krasner, who was talking about why he's in the race, as people do when he's talking about his opponent and why you should vote for him. Not dissing it, but talking about the reality of the 3 years before or whatever. And they were served with notice like a week ago. Larry Krasner Sean King, the media guy, and I got some media name that I don't know, which I think is Sean King's media company. Yeah, they're literally that's what, as ugly, dirty politics. Literally, an ex-politician trying to silence people by threatening with lawsuits, talking about
And to the point that Chris and I had mentioned to start the show, when we were talking about why I want to have that moment of silence, there's so much of the friction, there's so much of the chaos, there's so much of the noise, and the reason being is the system is being knocked down and broken down, and the resistance is strong. And so the resistance is going to be there, but the conversations we have here, the conversations we have with Larry Krasner, with Jimmy Dennis, that not just us, but the collective of us, whether it's, Chris or I and you or whoever it is, we need to keep these conversations happening, whether it's to 2 people or 10 million people. Because what's happening right now is people are saying, where am I? I'm on the fence. And people have been on the fence because we want to be bridges. And we're deciding, do I lean this way or this way? And we're starting to get aggressive. And you've got the Larrys who are willing to put his life, his job, his career on the line. And there's going to be a lot of those people showing up. So the only way we have massive change is we create space. And that might be a death. That might be a death of an organization, a death of a job, a person. That might be a death of a system. And with that death and that space creation will come the more beautiful tomorrow. So we are part of something huge, and we need to keep using our voices. So I think it's that simple. It's just we're in the middle of it, and it's not pretty.
And that's not to talk about the business part of what I do, because I don't care, but talk about the skills that I, developed with Jimmy, taught me how to teach people how to raise their voices. And we're still heart-centered, though I work with, creatives and entrepreneurs, and it's a business, not a charity, what I do now. Still, I can't literally, I learned how to do this to get messaging out about Jimmy, and then, in Canada, about when I actually believed in social justice, political growth. I thought that's when NDP was, the answer. Now I'm a little disappointed because nobody's really the answer, but I learned I did really effective messaging to like get my causes out there. And when I look back, when I became a publicist at 41, and suddenly hit me that there I was, 'cause we were 28, 29 years old, me and my husband. We had a little college radio show a couple of years before that. But when we met Jimmy Dennis, we literally were in entry-level sales, just crappy sales jobs, right? We weren't thinking about my trajectory should have been maybe middle management. We weren't, and if we'd been thinking about this stuff, we would have started the business way before I was 41, because we started doing this at 28, and by 29, 30, we literally it was hard to get we got international attention about Jimmy. Australia, Turkey, all kinds of places, like little places had articles. Within the US, it was difficult to get attention for Jimmy while he was convicted, because it was before Making a Murderer, before all these wrongful conviction podcasts and everything. Once the doors were slammed, nobody wanted to hear. Media wouldn't touch it. Innocent guy, whatever. It just wasn't easy to get any play in the States. We got play in the States, Dave and I, because there's in America, I was like, oh, look at these people putting the death penalty online, death row online. Because inspired by Jimmy's case, we were so disturbed by the death. We were like, wow, how could this happen? And we didn't have time to evaluate a million other cases or get involved with a million other cases the way we do with Jimmy. But we were like, whoa, if this can happen, who knows? What about all these other people saying? So we ended up making a webpage called the Canadian Coalition Against the Death Penalty, which was how
wait, I gotta reel you in. I talk fast, but even
oh my God,
I'm having a little bit of a problem. I can listen like 2 million words a minute, but
I've been going for a few minutes. But the background is we ended up forming an organization, just not meaning going and getting it done, just calling ourselves the Canadian Coalition Against the Death Penalty, writing messaging primarily with the intent of getting Jimmy in national media. But they never wanted to talk about that. They were like, oh, let's talk about how you guys are putting death row web pages online. So we ended up being, me and my husband, 28 years old, no media experience other than a little Toronto radio show. From the messaging we were writing, getting on CNN, MSNBC, Court TV, A&E, being interviewed, with all those Nancy Grace, Dan Abrams, all these people, and except for the Nancy Grace, always being treated, with respect, and just like we were a bunch of lawyers,
Nancy Grace, that's so much.
It took years before I thought that was messaging.
No grace from Nancy?
Never. Nancy Grace,
Nancy Grace, Chris, right? Have you seen her?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, I think they're all full of shit.
Yeah, well, she's one of that, her shtick is literally, Like she has, if you watch a few of her episodes, she has a very clear shtick, and it's like
it's all entertainment. It's all media, right? It's all entertainment. It's all media.
Isn't her daughter?
Yeah. Yeah.
Isn't her daughter Kimberly Guilfoyle? Isn't that correct?
No, that you're thinking of. I can't remember her name, but no,
it's another one.
Yeah, another one. Very the same. But all of those people was the same era.
Yeah.
So all of those people, Catherine Cryer, all those people interviewed us, and it was 13 years before I thought, gee, wait a minute, that was like really effective media messaging what I was doing there, huh? I think that's called a publicist. I could probably make a career out of that, and that's when I stopped. In a personal part of my story, decided to start doing that. But it's all one because, there's no leaving my ethics at the door. I don't take on any clients that don't fit in with my. They don't have to all be activists. They don't have to all be trying to change the world, but they're all good people doing good things in their little pocket, even if it's just starting a business, building something cool for their little, you know what I mean? It's not all.
So you said something pretty interesting that I want to tap into real quick. So you were saying that Jimmy Dennis from behind the scenes taught you how to deliver a message. Let's talk about that because here's the thing, right? When most people think of, who do I want to teach me to deliver a message? We're going to go to some professor or some speaker or whatever. But you're really learning this lesson from somebody who's behind bars. And the reason I think that's so beautiful is right now, there's so many companies who are saying, do we hire people who were in prison before? Can this person move the way up the ladder? What about this guy from the other side of the tracks? Like, I want people to realize that everybody has brilliance, which Chris and I talk about all the time. Let's talk about Jimmy's brilliance.
Anybody who could hire, if somebody could hire, I mean, that's not Jimmy's track. He's an R&B artist, right? And he's going this. But what I said to him at 2 a.m. the other day, or I thought about this at 2 a.m. and told him the next morning. I said, Jimmy, you know what? Exactly what you just said. This guy, forget just being somewhat capable, okay? After 25 years under the most extreme circumstances that you can imagine, not just wrongly convicted, but penalty of death, and the layers of inhumanity and what they're saying about you as a person and your worth that you have to get through to survive that is just beyond. So not only does he come out and able to survive that, ready to go in the studio and all that, but you guys, he's doing like business deals. He's talking to high-end people. He's talking to like people at levels. You know what? And where people people who have not dealt with 25 years on death row, that I'd be impressed if they were doing half of what he's doing in the kind of conversation he's able to have, the negotiation he's able to have, the business level thinking he's able to have. And on one of the podcasts I was on, when they were asking about it's not so much that he taught me the communication, because I was always a writer and I probably framed the communications part, but he certainly gave me, we were three, when we started the Canadian Coalition Against Death Penalty, we saw it as me and Dave, which were 29-year-old activists in Toronto, and this guy named Jimmy Dennis, who was currently living on death row in Pennsylvania, but that wouldn't always be the case. And like he said the other day, he said, I said, I'm so proud of you, speaking out about all this stuff, because you could just go and, you deal with PTSD, go home and just think about, I've had enough of being thrown into that justice world that I never asked to be thrown into for 25 years. But instead of going home and hiding under the covers, he's out there speaking out, making himself very public about it, which is not easy to do. It's not easy for him to do, right? It's a challenge. And, but someone was asking me, well, how did you stay focused for all those 15 years, those 20 years, 10 years? It was 20 years ultimately, but as it was going on, how did you stay focused on, that? And I was starting to think, that's true, because from a business perspective, how do you keep a group of people focused on anything for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years? But, we managed to keep on keeping that focus. And I think it was Jimmy Dennis. We credit Jimmy Dennis because he was like the project manager, like a project director, essentially, just making sure that it didn't, it always stayed, like literally what a project manager does for a business. That was Jimmy from his cell on death row, writing us a letter, talking to us in 1 15-minute call. And we joke now. I say, I'm like, okay, boss. And he laughs. He's like, okay, sis. I go, no, it's funny because we used to have 1 15-minute call a week. And that's all he had until later when they changed it. And he would have phone cards and could phone people more freely. But most of the time, he had 1 15-minute call a week. His family did not have long distance. He called us for the 15 minutes. It was $6.99 a minute, 75 cents for each additional minute or whatever it was. And we would have 15 minutes. It would be cut off at the end of 15 minutes, doesn't matter what happens, right? And every minute or so of the call, we'll never forget. It was always like, this call is coming from a maximum security correctional facility. Like that literally.
So let's talk about, Tracy, let's slow down a little bit real quick, and let's hit some bullet points here, because I think the interesting thing that we can get into right now is, so this man has so limited connection to the outside world, and you're getting to be blessed with this part of this time. Let's talk about not so much the details of how much it costs or whatever, but let's talk about this. What was the synopsis of these calls? What is he taking? Because like you said, he doesn't want to show you the emotion of this is bad, this is this. He's sharing something with you. What is he sharing with you right now? And what's the Jimmy that made you fall in love with him, that you knew this is somebody who has to be innocent, and this is somebody who is not a convict. He was, but not a guilty convict. This is a beautiful human being and a musician who's been mistreated by the justice system. What's going on in those calls? What's he sharing?
After I met him in 2003, we finally went 5 years after we got involved. We finally had the opportunity to go and visit him on death row. That was like 14 years before he was released. And I spent the next 14 years telling people, probably sounding like a lunatic, like probably sound like a crazy person to most people, when I said, no, sincerely, one of the best people I have ever met in my life, one of the most ethical and moral people I have met in my life, is sitting on a cell on death row in Pennsylvania right now. I told you that recently. I don't know if I ever told you that. And he was like, wow. And I was like, no, when I met him, there was no way. But that was 5 years in. At first, it was mostly by letter. The first time when we wrote him, and then he wrote back was 28. I said 18 in a podcast recently, and he corrected me. It was, we still have the letter, 28 pages, both sides, tightly written, with enough legal information about this much of the time that he had in his cell, which was enough to show that there was something really disturbing about this case after all. Enough for us to go, wait a minute. And because we'd made the effort to actually write to ask, well, what do we do with this now? We don't have money to help. We don't have, well, we had to do something, because otherwise, what was it? This person wrote a 28-page letter to tell us, obviously, we're like a beacon of hope. We have to figure out how to do something.
So he was able to take the emotion out of it. So he was able to take the emotion out of it and articulate to you who he was as a human. So you were able to see that in the 15 minutes. It was
emotional. Like, I remember from the very beginning, I'd have to pull out the letter, which I haven't read in years to find, and we do have to find it for things. But I have to, from the very beginning, we were like, it wasn't just a bunch of facts. From the very beginning, he was clearly a human being, and that human being connected with us. And he, for some reason, felt the same way too. We were all the same age. Like, look, it's funny now. I said to him the other day, it just occurred to me, I'm like, wow, it turns out like we really actually like each other, because in real life, because it's not just letters and a 15-minute phone call once a week about the stuff that we only talk with, tell my daughters this, and can you find out this, and my daughter's okay, and my parents, a lot of it was that. Like, about out of a 15-minute call, if 3 minutes is this call is coming from a maximum security Christian facility, we only have like 12 minutes left. The beginning, I would literally be with a pad. That's why I say, hey, boss, now, and I joke, because we used to have 15 minutes. There was no time for a lot of feeling in those calls. It was literally like, countdown. Okay, you got a pen, you got a paper? And he'd be telling me, I got a letter from this person. This is how you spell their name. I think this is their email. Can you reach out to them and tell them this? My daughter's blah, blah, blah. So I would be literally going, blah, 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 got it, boss, got it. And then anything else would have to be in a letter. Later on, it was different. He had more. But for years and years at the beginning, there was 15 minutes once a week. He could make one phone call. And it was us.
So he was really intellectually sound enough to take the emotion out of it and realize that he had things that he had to get done, understand the outside world. He was
always like project manager, like always, and the same time I should comment, he was never a cause. Like, very early on, he became a friend. Like, it was, and now a brother. Like, for now, like my kids, he calls niece and nephew. We're brother and sister. We talk 3 times a day. It's like, we actually are friends now. He's my best friend now. We like each other, in real life, outside the walls. But like, it was, he was literally like a project manager, where that was, he was like so focused on clearing his name. The 2 priorities always, he would never write a letter without having his daughter's name would always be, and there'd be little hearts whenever he mentioned his daughter's name. He would write little hearts, little music note. And the end of every letter anybody ever got from Jimmy Dennison, praying for the truth, 1998, praying for the truth, 99, 2000, 2001, 2000, and I kept on going till finally he's out in 2017. But that was a lot of years when we saw the years change, praying for the truth. And every year we thought that was going to be the year. So I started to lose faith. I started to go, oh my God, no, because we started to be involved with other death penalty cases, not that intensely, but we'd seen cases in Texas that looked fairly convincing that the person was innocent, and then boom, they're executed. So I started to think, no, there's no way this story can end like this. No, because I don't know how. No, I can't imagine that the story. I still get like heart frozen thinking about it, because I can't even imagine that story ending that way, but it could have.
And it's not supposed to. Hey, Chris, I got a question for you. So we're sitting here talking, we're thinking about, Jimmy, like Jimmy's been sitting here in prison. Because I'm thinking of this is running through my head right now. What would you have done if you had those 15 minutes, and what would you put into some of those calls? Because I'm just visualizing you're stuck and you have these so few of these calls. What would you do in that situation? What are you saying? Who are you calling?
Me?
Yeah.
Geez, I guess I would have different answers based on different periods of my life. Now I would want to talk as little as possible and want to hear as much as possible. I'd want to hear as much as possible about my son, about life, about my wife, about everything. I don't know. It's such an unconscionable situation because as you're talking, I'm listening back to when we talked to Jimmy and those accounts of being in the cell and his accounts of like, I'm on death row, but I don't know if I'm going to die from being in here, either whether from the police officers in the system or from the other convicts. It's I don't know. I seriously think that I'm unstoppable. And I think I can handle anything. But when he was talking about, literally for me, it would have been the music. But in those situations, I don't know. I literally, when you're looking at that, that's so monumental. His strength and his courage and the fact that you and your husband spent so much time and energy and love and compassion for him. That is the instrument of what the world needs right now. Going back to your point, Scott, there's a lot of people that are hurting here right now all over the world. We got stuff going on in Israel, the Pakistan, Palestinians. There's just so much stuff that there's so much pain that we all just need to start healing from within. So that's the thing that I would want to do if I was him, is as much as I could take in to heal and get nourished. That's what I would want. What about you?
Dude, that's powerful. I love that healing within. And honestly, I was thinking about it, and I just feel like I'm full of shit in everything I say because like, I'll tell you a 2-second story. When I was a kid, like, one of my biggest fears is I don't want to be pushed into a place of being alone forever. And I used to have this dream when I was a kid that I started flying and I drift off into space forever and ever alone. And that's what prison feels like to me, where there's an aloneness where the only difference is I get a 15-minute call or I go out to a yard, or it sounds like my nightmare. It sounds like my nightmare.
Yeah.
So I like what you said. I'd really just want to hear what's going on in the outside world, because it would fill my brain with stories and fill my brain with pictures, knowing that the people that I love are living life. And
that was what, that's what the letters were for. Because in that 15 minutes, he literally only, like, that's at the letters is where we had the time.
So powerful.
We would write long letters, and we would literally just take him on the bus with us. Like, we would talk about stuff we had to talk about, and then we would say things like, I'm on the bus. It's 2:45 p.m. It's a beautiful sunny day in Toronto. And, there's a couple of old ladies in the back of the bus, and they're just chatting about their laundry. And so I would just start telling him random things. At first I thought maybe that would be not nice. Like, he's in a cage and I'm talking about, but no, he liked to talk about those things. And he would always remember. So we would, those long conversations where we brought him into our world and made sure he had all, those were like, in letters. We would send pictures and, all that stuff. Right. But in the phone calls, it was just like, he was so focused, man, or he wouldn't be here today. He just wouldn't be here today. He was like, and he had 2 young daughters that he was trying to parent from death row, and they didn't have long distance on their phone, those people, and nobody in his family. That's why he didn't call his mom or his dad. He was like 10 hours away, and the long distances, they don't have it. Oh, they couldn't even afford it. They just don't have the long distance on their phone to even be able to accept the charges, right? So it was in those days. So he would call us and give us literally, I heard this from my mom in a letter. Can you call and make sure she's okay? Can you make sure the girls are okay? One time, he never sang on death row, but one time he did. He sang, literally, we got to record him. Once in a while, we'd put like 2 phones together so he could talk to his family. Totally illegal, because they're supposed to be who's calling on the visitors list. But we were like, what, if we could like play the phone, put the phone together, then they can yell at each other through the receivers of both. Hi, Jimmy, are you okay? Hi, I love you. And once or twice we did that where they could just yell through the receiver, each receiver of the other, one holding one line, one holding the other. But one time he sang, we got him to sing, and he, only time, because he said he didn't feel it to raise his voice. It was, he just couldn't. But one time he sang a lullaby to his daughter when she was really little.
Wow.
He sang into our phone, and we recorded it. We made a big production for us to get like a 4-track and record it. I'm sure we have it somewhere still, but he sang a lullaby to his daughter when she was still like, she was maybe 9.
That's beautiful. That should be a soundbite. That should be a total soundbite on your interviews.
Yeah.
Like from death row
at some point,
Dennis singing to his, that should be like,
if you have that
right now.
because he's going to at some point have a Netflix or something.
I
Somebody's
know
going to be
there's
showing.
gotta be, like somewhere that, I mean, that was a personal thing that was never put online or anything, but I must be on a cassette. This is in the days of cassettes.
I would go find that. I would definitely go find that.
That is gold. That
right?
is gold.
Yeah, no, we've got to go through a lot of old stuff. Like we had, what we had as pictures for 20 years. Some of the pictures that you see in that Rolling Stone documentary and stuff now, they were literally photographs, one copy, like one photograph, like you had in the old days, right? You just got a picture. And when we first met him, he sent us like 8 or 9 pictures of his daughters, of his partly to show us, and then he never, like partly for safekeeping. Like he always knew he had them. He'd check every once in a while. He still those other, those pictures I sent you. He had other ones, but we also, you have those pictures I sent you. And literally, when he got out like 2 years ago, we had to go through our 4 or 5 boxes, legal boxes of Jimmy Dennis letters, and look for those photos so we could send them to Rolling Stone or whoever was doing the documentary. And yeah, so now I see them on the screen, but those are like pictures that he sent us from his cell. The only pictures, not the only pictures he had of his dog, but the only copies of those photos that he had sent, and we kept care of them for 20 years like they were our own, and had them in our Jimmy file. And then when he came out, he says, "Find that. Do you still have that? Do you have that brochure you first wrote about?" And we went and looked. Oh gosh, remember this from 1999? And I still found the other day. I
have a question for you, Tracy. Remember what I said before?
Come back to us.
Breathe. Conversation, not freight train. Conversation. So what we've been talking about literally is one word that keeps coming back in my mind is resiliency. Resiliency for you, resiliency for your husband, resiliency for Jimmy, resiliency for everything else. In thinking about what we titled the show, talking about catapulting your growth and your impact, what advice specifically would you give to people to dominate the resiliency? Because I mean, for me, and I know this for a fact, that when you are congruent and you make a promise to yourself and you keep that promise, that's amazing what resiliency you can bring about yourself. So talk to us about specific points of what people who are watching this right now, who are struggling, based on what Scott was saying, based on what we took a moment to pause for, what are some specific action items that people can do to increase their resiliency?
Well, there's that, how Jimmy says the never give up. I take that, and then I also learned on the internet, I found a phrase this year. It was just, we didn't get this far to only get this far. And I find that's really, for people that are really down, even more than people who are doing well, great, you have goals, you didn't get this far to only get this far. Keep going, be inspired, you'll make it. But even more importantly, people who don't think they're winning right now, like people who are feeling stuck or frozen or wanting to jump off a bridge or something, I talk about that a lot. That's you didn't get this far to only get this far, because you're a winner. You won. You're still here. You're still standing. You beat all that horrible stuff. Maybe it wasn't Jimmy Dennis kind of stuff. Maybe you didn't have to get through 25 years like that. But everybody has some crazy challenges, and everybody, people are broken inside from a lot less than 25 years on death row sometimes, And so to find that resiliency, like how do you go through something like that and stay focused or positive, or how do we all? So I think it's the same reason, it's the same kind of, it's really just that you can't express it other than to say belief in yourself. I mean, actually believing that you can make a difference. And that's the same reason, or the same thing I say when people say, this epic story of helping someone for 20 years on death row and how it's so heroic and all that. Really, everybody would be heroic. I think a lot more people would do something like that if they actually truly believed that they could make a difference. But for the same people, like seriously, most people, I believe, instead of watching a 2-hour movie on Netflix, if they actually thought 2 hours of work they could do could impact something like that, they would do it. But they don't believe that. So they don't believe they can start a business. So I think it all comes down to the same thing. You have to believe in yourself, which is one of the things I speak about. So, believe in yourself so that you can, build your brand or make your $1 million or free your guy on death row, whatever it is you're passionate about. You got to believe in yourself to do it. And then you can, when I speak on entrepreneur shows, it's always about building your brand. So that's why I say, believe in yourself so you can build your brand, make your $1 million, but then build up your community, build up something, make some change, make it better than it was when you got it. I never do this straight. I'm not interested in that. Just like build up yourself so you can build up your brand. Yay, now you made your $1 million. Now what? Like now you've got your platform, you've got your money, now you've got this ability. It doesn't have to be what I did with it. Maybe it's completely different, but whatever calls you or where you think you can make a difference in the world, believe that you can and then do it. That author, I don't remember who she is, but she said, activism is the price we pay for life on the planet.
Absolutely. So I'm going to answer somebody's question who had a question real quick. Chris, you might answer. I can't see. I saw the question. You answered, but I'll just follow up with Colleen just for a second. So one of the things, Colleen, so Jimmy actually, he lived in a part of Philadelphia that was mostly black. And in that part of town, the cops would kind of come through, and anytime there was some kind of an issue or whatever, they'd kind of pick somebody and pretty much say, hey, this is the person who did it. And so Jimmy was a church-going, super nice guy, musician. He was on his way up, all kinds of good things going on in his life. And he was picked out, and long story short, he ended up being identified, even though the witness, to the crime ended up saying the guy was like 6'2" and much darker. It was clearly wasn't him. Jimmy Dennis was like 5 something. Yeah, a totally different guy.
Craziness, yeah.
And so long story short, what happened, Colleen, is, he got clearly misidentified and put in prison. But to the point and to Chris's question, talking about resiliency, one of the biggest components of being a resilient human being is finding your why, finding your purpose and your brilliance. And I would like to say this, and I suggest that everybody watch next week. If you did not see the Jimmy Dennis interview yet with Chris and I would say watch it next week and do this. As you're listening, ask yourself, did Jimmy Dennis find his why before, during, or after his prison sentence? Because I think deep down, he's one of those folks that the reason he had such resiliency is he had a true grasp on his why. And what do I mean by that? Not just was he a musician, he wanted to make people smile. He wanted to bring beauty into people's lives. And music was a vehicle. Being a dad to his future daughter was a vehicle. Being part of his church was a vehicle. Being a good family man was a vehicle. So that's a little bit about Jimmy. I highly recommend checking it out next week. I know it's Memorial Day weekend, so people might have plans. Put it on the background while you guys are, cooking or whatever. But learn about that and think about that question. When did he pick up his why? Because I was listening for it throughout the interview myself, and beautiful human being. What do you think? I mean, Chris, what do you think about
the
that?
Playlist? The playlist that you could tell what got him through was the playlist. When he started talking about music, when I've had that first initial conversation with him,
yes,
we started getting into the playlist. He's like, I said, what? I mean, literally, I started interviewing him like in the discussion, which I normally do not do. And I'm like, dude, what? You got 25 years. What got you through? What got you through? What got you through? And he's like, music, man. And I'm like, hello, music. I'm like, what? How? What? And he goes, I have a playlist. And we went through every single song. And he said, this song teaches me this. This song teaches me this. This song does this. This song does this. And it was an eclectic
medicine.
It was like, it was everything. It was Bruce Springsteen. It was Stevie Wonder. It was
he did.
Whitney Houston.
I mean, he had an eclectic, and he said, I went through every song every day, and that's what kept me going. That and his why, about being wrongly incarcerated. But the fact that music, and I could totally resonate with that. I'd be like, literally, because music is so important to me, I think I would probably go batshit crazy, because I would just be like walking around singing songs, be like, I'm all out of love. I'm so lost without you. I just heard that today. I heard that today for like the first time in 20 years. I was like, oh man, I still know the words.
It's a great tune, man.
He literally play them in his head. Like this is his right. Like every day he'd go there, go through that, like that list of different songs. Yeah, it's amazing.
Actually,
I hope all those artists get to hear that one day. Like I want them all to know that, and I would love to see them all in a room.
Tracy,
actually, you know what? Here, I got it right here. The playlist was I think it was the Winas, Trust in God, John Coltrane, Dear Lord, Christopher Cross, Sailing, Bruce Springsteen, Glory Days, Stevie Wonder, If It's Magic, Whitney Houston, Where Did Broken Hearts Go? The live version, Why Does It Hurt So Bad? He made sure he told me the MTV Awards, Wearing White.
Like it was exactly which one, right?
He was very specific about that song. Honestly, was singing, and then he said Fleetwood Mac, Don't Stop.
Mm-hmm.
So I made sure I kept that, because I was like, ooh.
I also remember in one of the early letters, because it's funny, at the end of every letter, he would also include a song list from the very first letter, from that very first 28-page letter. After all of that, he'd also list a couple of songs, and you were supposed to listen to the song, because like you said, that was his
so awesome
message. And one of the very first ones I remember is I Believe I Can Fly.
Oh, wow. I'm loving it.
I want to say that was in the first letter he wrote us, if not the first, the second.
I'm not liking the artist, but I'm loving this song.
I don't even, but
was it
just
Seal?
the
Was it
message,
Seal?
I believe
No, it's R. Kelly.
And I didn't know the song.
R. Kelly?
Oh,
I didn't. Oh, and funnily enough, way before the recent
young girls' faces.
Check this out, you guys. I was gonna say when you were talking about the music, Chris, at the beginning or earlier, when we did go and visit him on death row, it was actually 2002. We were there for 2 full days, like full, the Saturday and the Sunday or whatever it was. And there he was, behind glass. We were having our little thing, talking all the whatever else. But we're also getting to actually socialize, right? And music was a giant part of the conversation, like a passionate part. Like he was like a music scholar in the stuff that he knew about the music and about the artists and everything else. And the second day we were there, he came in. I guess the news had come out about R. Kelly. This is before the Netflix, obviously, but the original news, not article, when he was accused of a young girl, something way back. And it had come out literally the week or the month, that week that we were there. So it was like in the news in 2002. And he came into the visit on the second day, and he was telling us that he had just had a argument with somebody in the back, and I guess they're 23 hours a day on their cell alone. So I don't know if it was out on the thing or by I don't know how they were communicating, but he was having like a debate with a friend on death row, or somebody he was okay with, as you say, and about whether you could still enjoy the music of an artist, and it had come up because of R. Kelly, in spite of something like that. And Jimmy's stance was like, screw that guy, or screw any, so that's probably why.
What do you think? What do you think about that? Like, what? Because here's the thing. One of my favorite songs of all time.
That's a tough question. That's a tough. I've never been. I'm a music aficionado. I have lyrics on my arm. I have tattoos.
So here's the thing.
I
think that we could literally listen to the song "Man in the Mirror" and just realize the lyrics of that song are some of those powerful lyrics in the face of the earth.
I love the lyrics to that too, actually. Yeah.
So we're listening to "Man in the Mirror." Can we still listen to it? I mean, honestly, what do you think? Because
for me, I'm not going to go out and go to somebody's concert and support their, put money into their coffers or something like that and be a fan. But no, I think also, most music, like when I heard "I Believe I Could Fly," first time I heard that, to me, that's a song about Jimmy Dennis, because I never knew the song or the artist. The first time I ever heard it was when it was on the letter from Jimmy Dennis, and I went and looked for it, and I heard it, and I was like, wow, So to me, when I ever hear that, I don't care who sang it or what he's saying or whatever. It's those powerful words, right? So art also exists. Like most of the music we know today, we don't necessarily know. 60, 70 years ago, who wrote some of the classics. I just learned recently who wrote, that song. A Good Man Is Hard to Find. It was from 1917. My client's father wrote it. Good man. It's now just a thing in the ether. Like a phrase. But there are people that wrote those things. We don't know who they are. But they're. So I think, in some ways we're getting too much into the. I wouldn't go be at a concert and being like, yay, guy. But if a song comes on that I like, that's a piece of art that I appreciate. I'm not a fangirl. I'm not 12. I don't like it because of the artist,
There you go.
I like it because of the Jimmy's laughing. You know what I mean? When I was 12, it was like, ooh, who sings that? Now it's like,
you're like Bad Street Boys. All right.
I'm back.
Were you a Backstreet boy? Were you a Backstreet girl?
No, I was a John Lennon fan in 1980. And then I'm 51, so I was like, I'd be an 80s girl. My era would have been Duran Duran if I was following it would have been Duran. All my grade 9 friends loved Duran Duran. I was like, John Lennon though.
Yeah. both good bands for different reasons. Like John Lennon, the Beatles, but Imagine's got to be one of the best songs ever written as well. But Duran Duran was a fun party group,
I appreciate them now. Back then, when I was 14, I was very like, because all the kids liked them, so they were the pop band, right?
Yeah.
And now I didn't think they would stand the test of time, but they have stood the test of time.
Yeah.
No, I'm trying to remember his name. Simon something.
John Simon. Nick Rhodes. Nick Rhodes.
No. John. Fuck, I'm drawing a blank on his name. He did
That's one of them was Nick Rhodes. No, there's 5 of them. There was a few. Nick Rhodes was one of them. John Simon was one of them. I can't remember the other ones now, but one of them I knew all 5.
Simon Le Bon, that's what it was.
Simon Le Bon. It wasn't John Simon.
Simon Le Bon, that was it. Oh my God, yeah.
That's what it was.
All the girls loved him in grade 9.
That doesn't matter.
Hey, here's a question.
No, I want to talk about what Trisha just said.
Do it. You got a question up there? Let's do this.
Yep. Trisha says, what if our why is bigger than we are? What if our why is in a bad situation is to save a soul, to lead others to believe, to bring attention to situation? What if a song leads to a lighter heart, a brighter day?
Well played. I'm liking that. I want to throw something in there with this because I just saw something that I thought was a really beautiful comment today on social media. And and it's nice to have beautiful comments in social media where there's so much divisiveness. one of the things that I thought was amazing was it was saying that many of us, whether we know it or not, are brought here to do nothing else but share our vibration. And when I saw that word, I was like, Chris and I are always talking about raise your vibration, but then we always talk about sharing your brilliance. This literally said that there are people who are here who are literally just sharing their vibration, and they'll never in their earthly lives even understand that impact. So I want to even go a little bit further here, that maybe your purpose might never be understood here, but your vibration is so perfect that it's healing just by your presence, which is one more reason why we need to connect and we need to be out there and we need to be meeting with people, because just our presence brings something. What do you think about that, Tracy? What do you think about maybe Jimmy's one of those people that, brought that energy, and the music is just bonus brilliance?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and when he came out too, he came right out and went right into the studio. Like, it's just amazing. This whole story is pretty amazing to me. Like, exactly. He just literally you forget what he's been through. Everybody comments on it too. He'll come on to an interview, and at the beginning he's like, hi, with that big smile, and people are literally messaging, like posting all the time saying, to think that after everything he's been through, and there he is so positive with that big beautiful smile before he even starts talking, and he's just so, yeah. So that, I mean, that's huge inspiration. Everybody, honestly, they're all listening to us talk about this, but they need to go back and listen to last week, to the show, and to listen to it next week, because in your show, like I said, I've heard a lot of interviews with Jimmy, and I've known him for 20 years, but your interview specifically with him had me in tears, and we were messaging the person that, honestly, it was so, but yet, you did it in such, like, so you brought so much out of him, but also he was clearly at such a comfort level, and you really made really effort to make sure that he had that comfort level. And he does a lot of interviews, and sometimes he's a little drained after them, and sometimes it's emotionally, like, he always does well, but explaining the same thing over and over can be exhausting. But you guys, he never, it was like talking to friends and with people that actually cared, and it was you could feel his comfort level watching it as well. And I know you guys worked hard to do that too, and to make sure that he felt comfortable and confident. Now you guys are friends, and I see you interacting on the pages all the time and everything. So.
Nah, he's an amazing soul. He's an amazing soul. And that's one of the things that we really pride ourselves here on the Unfiltered experience, Scott and I both, is it's something I've learned so much that I never knew this terminology until probably the last, May? Probably last 5 months. Safe space. You hold safe space for people. You hold a space for people, whether they're coming from the left, the right, the center, up above, down below. You hold a space for people to come and to just be, and just to be themselves. So many people right now are dying to be themselves. If there is one common thread I hear every single day, whether I'm on Clubhouse or whether I'm on a Zoom or wherever I'm at, is people are dying just to be themselves.
It's so true.
What recommendation would you have for people just to be themselves? And then we'll wrap up the show.
Absolutely that. Just don't, come back to, you're perfect the way you are. I mean, I'm the fat girl with crazy red hair. I probably, couldn't, if I walked into a room and people don't know who I am, they're probably, oh, who's that one? A big business, conference. But when they see my resume ahead of time, they're like, ooh, wow, laying out the red carpet and, wanting to hire me. So, like, just do it. Don't be afraid of what other people think of you. Don't be afraid of, honestly, for real. I hate to quote Nike. I even prefer Rocky Horror Picture Show. Don't dream it, be it.
Oh, hell yeah. Oh, yeah.
I love that song. Joel, it's not a great message. Don't dream it. It's not fake until you make it. I don't like that. Don't fake it. Nothing ungenuine. Be it. Be it. You are who you are. If you're feeling it, do it. Bam.
There's a soundbite right there. That, yeah. Go do it. Go be it. It's funny because we're always talking about fly your freak flag. Be who you are. That's one thing that I've struggled with my entire 52 years on this planet. I'm proud to say is that up until when I left corporate and went through a bit of a stumbling situation, then Scott showed up and saved me. No,
we saved each other, bro. Matters.
Yeah, no, I know, seriously. But no, when you jump into who it is that you really are and who you are supposed to be, there is a safety net that you cannot see, that you cannot feel, but is there. And that's why I tell people every fucking day, like, swear. I was on a Clubhouse meeting the other day. I didn't even tell you this, Scott. It was with Princeton and a bunch of people, and And there were some people were cussing and they were like getting really fired up. And some people were like, let's talk about cussing. And I was like, not even saying anything. And all of a sudden Princess says, what are your thoughts on cussing, Chris? You're the one that's, definitely cusses. And I told him a story about when I spoke on stage and I said kick ass. And some guy afterwards was like, I have a problem with profanity. And I'm like, really? I have problems with you call people fat, stupid, and short, and nigger, and gay, and blah, 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 all these other fucking terms that I hear as a coach, people coming to me going, I've been told all my life I'm stupid. I'm like, yeah, have you ever had a problem with the word fuck? Yeah, I don't like it, but it's never a problem. It never fucked with me. Just go fly your freak flag. When you fly your freak flag, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, let me tell you, there is a freedom. There is a peace that I've been searching for. I've read so many books on inner peace. I have one that's literally called Inner Peace. I'm like, just be who you are. Like you said, show up in the room, go, hey, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here. Where's the fucking party? I walked in the most boring networking things in my life. And I walked in and I said, what's up, party people? Who wants to have a conversation? And they're just like, they just break out of their shit. And they're like, oh, fuck, there's somebody here that's real. I want to talk to somebody who's real.
Yeah.
Yes, you are definitely real. We appreciate you. We love you. And thank you so much for coming on here. Thank you so much. More importantly, and more specifically, knowing who you are and what you and your husband did. Massive love and appreciation and respect, because you guys looked at somebody who you did not know, who was from a different race, a different culture, a different socioeconomic background, a different part of the world. And you said, wait a fucking minute.
And we're lucky we did, because look, we've got a best friend I couldn't have imagined our life without.
Only one microphone. This guy, we want to make sure that we're there by his side for not 1 year, not 6 months. You guys were there by his side the whole fucking entire time. So massive love and respect to you. We appreciate you being on the show. What are your final words to everybody to send them off with specific opportunities for them to fly their freak flag?
Yeah, believe in yourself. If you personally, whoever it is, if you want to build up your thought leadership, if you have a message to get out there and you want to do that, don't be afraid to. There's podcast opportunities. There's all kinds of services where you can connect with media who's interested in your story. You can write. Don't be afraid. Go out there, be yourself, and share your message. Whatever your message is, whatever's burning inside you, and you think someone should hear it, do it. There's audiences for it. We want to hear it. Yes.
Whew. Tracy, thank you so much for being here. Where can people get more in touch with you and continue the conversation with you?
Yeah, if anyone wants to do a half an hour consult for business purposes or whatever, I'm happy to do that. Or just, information about getting media stuff out there, activist stuff along the lines of stuff I care about, equality, certainly interested in hearing about. So LamourieMedia.com, or you can find me, Tracy Lamourie, that's Lamourie, on Facebook, or LinkedIn is a great place to connect. And on Instagram, you can see all my projects and all this stuff going on all the time. And that's Tracy Lamourie, PR Media. Tracy.
Final thoughts for Tracy, Scott, before we let her go back to the green room and chomp on brown M&Ms?
I love the fact that we've got people out there who are putting their necks out for others. And however you do it, whether it's for, what you guys did for Jimmy, or it's just taking a voice on something that scares you a little bit, or just speaking up at the right time in your life. I think it's beautiful that people are doing it. Get off the fence, use your voice. I'm all in with what you're doing. I thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tracy. We're going to put you backstage. Don't go anywhere. Okay. Enjoy. We're just going to end the show and then we'll be right with you.
Yepper.
Oops. Wrong one.
The other way around.
Wrong one. Wrong button. I'm overwhelmed, Scott. I'm overwhelmed. There was a lot.
I'm overwhelmed.
There was like, hey, look at who we have here. Jessica Marie. Hey, Jessica. She says, amazing story. Much respect. Thank you, Jessica, for being here.
Thank you.
We have so many amazing. So I didn't even get a chance to just Christina Finch. She's like, what's up? Hey, hello.
Let's connect with our people.
We got Andrea. Yeah, what's up? How you doing? It's funny. She was yes, thank you for being here. I want to tell a story. Thank you for being here. Colleen's in the house. Robert Broker's in the house. Hey, Tracy Feely's in the house. Colleen, we told that. Yeah, you guys are amazing. You guys are our Unfiltered crew. You guys are our family. And thank you so much for being here. I know that you can be in a lot of different places right now. The world is opening up. I went out on a date with my wife last night. We went in a bubble and had a great time, and then found out from the CDTC. That's funny. That's fucking my old job. That was my old job. It was CDC said that you can go outside without your mask on if you had your vaccination. So I was proud to say that I walked around life normal yesterday. But thinking about what she said tonight, Scott, there was a lot of volume. There was a lot of importance in there. What would be your 3 takeaways or a couple of takeaways that we could send away for everybody here watching or listening tonight that encapsulates what Tracy was speaking about today?
Well, first and foremost, we kind of mentioned it a couple of times. We were talking about getting off the fence. I think it's super important right now that we're in a massive space of transition. We had a world that looked a certain way that we accepted. And we said, hey, this is the world as it is. There's good, there's bad, there's ugly, but it is what it is. And that is what it is. You can hear Chris shaking his drink up. That is what it is. It doesn't need to be that way. Guys, we are the creators of our own universe. We can build a better world. So here's how that happens. Right now, we're a puzzle. And there's this puzzle. And all these pieces are filled. What's happening right now is we're yanking pieces out and just throwing them. And there's a hole. And that piece might be a system that broke down, or we're eliminating hate, or we're highlighting this, or we're going to put new pieces in there. We have the ability to put better pieces in there and make this world a better place. So first and foremost, get off the fence. The second thing is, if you have not yet, find your why. Now, I have friends that might say, I know my why. I'm supposed to be a chef and I make great food. And I ask them the question, are you sure you're supposed to be a chef? And they say, yeah, because I love cooking. I go, tell me why you love cooking. And then they start to talk about, I love cooking because when I bring the food to people, they smile. Oh, so you like smiling. Why do you like seeing people smile? Because people connect and people have special moments. So you really like delivering special moments to people and changing their lives. And suddenly that's what's happening. And I think somebody like Jimmy has a deeper meaning than just the music even. He's really he's changing people's lives with his music. He's changing people's lives with his words. He's changing people's lives with his connection, just amplifying his energy. The third thing is be selfless. You know, there was a lot of time given in those moments where Tracy's in there with her husband meeting with Jimmy in the prison. And that's something that's probably beyond most of us. Like, why am I going to go to a prison to somebody who may be guilty? I don't really know. I trust that he isn't. And so be selfless. And we always talk about that, extending the sense of self. So I would share those 3 things. And before I pass it back to Chris, one of the things I do want to tell you is, first and foremost, next week we have Jimmy Dennis on. Again, we're going to have that interview again. If you were intrigued about anything we said or you want to get connected to Jimmy, check in and listen. I was wrong. It's not next weekend. It's not Memorial Day weekend. The following weekend is. So next weekend, check in with Jimmy. The weekend after that, when Chris and I are back live, man, we have somebody who is very, 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 very special. I promise you. If you can't even watch it, it has to be in the background because you're doing your barbecue for Memorial Day, get here. His name is Tyler Campbell. He is Earl Campbell's son. If you're somebody who's a football fan, you've heard of Earl Campbell, one of the best football players of all time, fullback, running back, amazing player, came out of the University of Texas, played for Houston, other teams, incredible player. But he is nothing compared to his son. When you listen to Tyler, oh, man, I met him this past week. We sat on the phone for 2 hours because we could not stop connecting. And it was literally, I'm like, bro, I know you. We both were kept going, we have goosebumps. And I can say this, the person who connected me to Tyler said, I cannot believe you guys don't know each other. You guys are the same person. He's just the black version of you, the white version of him. And so I'm so excited to have Tyler here. I can't tell you. And if he's listening right now, because he said he might check in, he's watching his kids right now, and he's might have this on the side, but it's going to be a special time. And it's really going to be a social time. So again, thanks for Tracy. Those are my 3 bullets. Chris, what do you got to wrap us up? Because that was a lot of energy and a lot of beauty. What can you finish this up with?
I'd have to go back to what she said and what I wear on my wrist. My wrist. Believe, you know, if you know you are innocent, or if you know you are meant for greatness, if you know you are meant to do something, and it's something that is in your gut that constantly whispers to you all the time. Glenn Morshower talks about it all the time. The whisper. If you guys have the whisper, you have to believe. You have to believe in the fact that you're on a journey that is going to be not so fun. I was just talking to somebody the other day, like, I'm tired of this up and hill, the up and down thing. It's like I make it, and then all of a sudden I go through this thing, and I'm like, guess what? That's life, and it's going to continue for the rest of your journey. You're going to have highs, you're going to have valleys. They're going to be like feeling like low as hell, and you're just going to have to trust, and you're going to have to believe that life is happening for you, that life is testing you. Scott, you say it so eloquently about the video game situation. I used it again the other day. It's like, if we're on level 9 and the goal is to be level 12, guess what? We have to commit. We have to make a promise. We have to believe the fact that we are going to do our absolute best to figure out how to get to level 10. And that's going to be uncomfortable. That's going to require additional skill. That's going to require additional training. That's going to require additional focus. But so many people don't want to invest that effort. They want it easy. They want it overnight. They want it now. Life is not now. Life is not now. Life is beautiful, because we have my little man saying, we're going to close out the show.
We're going to close out the show.
Saying, I love all of you beautiful people.
I love all you beautiful people.
And I want you to go rock.
And I want you to go rock
your kick-ass.
Your kick-ass.
Freak flag.
Freak flag.
Daddy hands. Daddy hands. You got to go.
Daddy hands.
Yeah.
I love you, Jackson.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, this was not scripted, but this is the future of the Jackson and Daddy show. But literally, I want to go back to, and I'll end it with this, Scott, is life is about moments. And like you were saying, I think it's actually a call I was on before. Sometimes we get so caught up in the outcome and the results of what it is that we're working towards that we lose sight of the moments. We're either pontificating about the history, the past. Well, I should have done this. I should have done this. Or we're worried about the future. But if you're in the moments and you're creating those moments to the best of your ability, then you're creating momentum. And this is something I actually wrote down earlier, Scott. Thank you, buddy. I'll see you in a few minutes. It's like looking at my camera now. It's like 3 inches down. When you are truly, and you know, dude, I talk about this all the time. When you are truly invested in those moments, like, and I found myself earlier today, I was thinking about something that was like 2 weeks ahead. I'm like, dude, it's a beautiful day outside. You're playing with your son. Why are you thinking about something that's 2 weeks ahead? You could get hit by a car tomorrow. When you are in those moments and you are creating what it is that you're most passionate about and you're flying your freak flag, there is momentum that is gained that cannot be stopped. And I've seen that. I have felt that. I experienced that. Both of us have done this. So those are my final thoughts, is just go out there and believe in yourself, believe in other people. Take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to go out there and be the change that you want to see. You know, so often we're pontificating about what we want to see change. I want this change. I want this change. I want that. All those people. It all starts with inside of us. It all starts with inside of us. Our own resiliency, as we talked about tonight. What is your resiliency? Are you ready to commit? Are you ready to promise yourself that you're going to do things that are uncomfortable to get you to a place where you're going to be unforgettable? Think about that. Those are my final thoughts, Scott.
Amen, brother. I'm all in, man.
Cool. Well, I'm excited. We're going to be replaying Jimmy's show. So, guys, be sure to tune in next week. If you missed it before, it is an amazing experience talking about resiliency, mindset. I mean, getting through 25 plus years on death row, thinking you're going to die for a crime you did not commit, and you have to make it through every fucking day. It's an amazing show. Honestly, I've interviewed so many amazing people, Scott, and I said this on the show to Jimmy. I think that was one of the best conversations that I've ever had on camera with anybody in my life.
I totally agree. And you know, and Tracy actually, you know, commented on this as well. One of the things that Chris and I really try to do, and you nailed the word, and you know I use this word. You don't use it. That was the first time you've actually said it out loud. I loved it. Safe space. Wow. Like my thing is, when I speak to people, I sit with that person and I engage with them. And wherever their vibration is, I try to match it. So they're not even sure what happened, but they feel like they're in a safe space. And you and I have organically done that really well. And Jimmy really sat into that vibration, and we mirrored it. And we gave him not to play a game to merit, to say, now speak, Jimmy. No, it wasn't for us. It was for him.
Yep.
Like, we're mirroring that vibration for him so he can share, so he can feel, so he can connect and get the things off his chest he wants to. And it's all about the other person. It's never about us, ever. It's really, the only thing we're doing this for is so that you have a space. And bro, we've had some people, you know, I've mentioned one of them a few times. We've got people on here with very different opinions, and people might not even know it, because we create a space and we respect them and we treat them kindly. And even though I'm thinking, I don't know what you're thinking and you make no sense to me, I'm going to create a safe space because I want you to feel good.
Yeah.
And we're all one. So
it goes back to that love versus fear. If I'm afraid of what this person is saying, then of course I'm going to come at it from a reactionary standpoint, but it's all love. And the other thing, to your point, and I haven't told you this, but I was on Clubhouse earlier, and we had Forbes Riley on our show with Josh, which, by the way, that's another conversation that I'm very proud of, because she was in a Clubhouse room that she pinged me into that had, and if you guys know who Clubhouse is, it's big. And so there was probably 300 or 400 people in this Clubhouse room. She pinged me into this room, made me a speaker to tell the conversation that she had only told on our show, Scott, about how she goes by the name Francine based on what Josh wants her to be.
Another example of safe. I didn't even know that.
I've never said that before, except I said it on Christopher's show.
That's
like,
awesome.
Boom. It's like, that's what we need to do in our own homes, ladies and gentlemen. We need to have those safe conversations for people to have a difference of opinion. It doesn't mean a difference of a world. It doesn't mean a divisive world. It means a difference of opinion. We could still come together in the middle.
I love it. And I just wanted to end, what's crazy to go, just to echo that real quick, is I have friends of friends of friends who just popped up and goes, oh yeah, I was out with my friend Forbes Riley the other day. And I'm like, but no, it's weird that you just said that. Because I'm watching how, and I know this. I'm sitting in a restaurant in Romania and someone taps me on the shoulder and I'm like, how am I seeing friends in Romania? But the point is, this world is so small. When you open up safe spaces for people and you treat people right, someone knows somebody who knows somebody who knows you, and your impact, not only do you resonate like wildfire because you're doing the right things and you're spreading that energy, the universe just wants to share you. It really wants to share you. And whether you're an introverted, extroverted, what you define yourself as, your energy can go to so many places once you fill your cup up. So like Jimmy Dennis is doing, like Tracy's doing, like Chris is doing, let's go out, let's share our energy, let's make sure it's a vibration of love, let's kick some ass and just be the best people we can be and provide safe spaces for all.
Yes. Bam, bam, bam. We love you guys. You guys are our Unfiltered crew. If you're not already there, go to www.theunfilteredexperience.com, www.theunfilteredexperience.com. Go there, become a part of our crew on the Facebook page. We're going to be doing more and more and more stuff there. So we love you guys. We appreciate you. Go out there and have a phenomenal weekend. Go out there and make massive moments that will create momentum in your life, that will create an amazing legacy that you guys will be proud of. We love you guys. We will see you next time here on the Unfiltered Experience.